Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to Philly with John Marks. I, of course, am not John Marks. My name is Bill Matz, and I am your director of fun and games for the next hour. What's up to our producer extraordinaire, Tyler Zulli? What's going on this morning, Tyler? How are you? Got to get right into this
Good morning.
Phillies game because the thumbnail you made for us today needed that. I don't know who needed it more. I don't know if it was Bryce Harper. I don't know if it was Jesus Luzardo. I don't know if it was me, because when I was filling in for Gargano yesterday, Tyler, I was starting to feel a little doom and gloom about this team, and there's nothing that turns it around like a 13-0 win.
Yeah, and the thing that I loved about what Bryce Harper did yesterday was he was going to left field, left center field, was taking the ball the other way. There's a couple of times over the first, because he was like, 4 for 25 since his return.
I believe that was the number, yeah.
And that number is not like, I'm not super concerned. I've watched Bryce Harper go 4 for 25 before. The 11 strikeouts were what was concerning, because I watched a lot of lefties get after him by like getting in on his hands and throwing like front side breaking balls, which usually when Harper's right, he obliterates, and he was swinging through, and it looked like he was kind of pulling the hands a little bit. He just wasn't super comfortable. So yesterday it was good to see him, take a couple of pitches that were down and away or up and away and take them to the opposite field. And he really hit them for some power, a trio of doubles, a home run, 4 for 6. It was really encouraging to see.
I realized 4 extra base hits is a pretty extraordinary feat in one game. It seems crazy to me that was the first time he's done that in his career, just considering, one, his raw power, and two, how his hot streaks tend to just like pile up, and he just compiles those stats. Like, I was shocked to see that it was his first game in his career with 4 extra base hits. He had 2 doubles in 1 inning. Just absolutely insane. So I had just assumed he heard us on the Gargano show yesterday, or at least heard me, and was like, oh, you know what? I think it's time to turn it back on. But Bryce is back, and that was one of your classic Phillies offensive explosions yesterday. They put up 13 runs. Just a tremendous performance for our Phils to just make us feel a little good again. And I know I've been hot and cold on them the last couple of weeks, and they keep winning. They keep finding ways to win. They keep scratching out some series wins. Now, they dropped the series in San Fran, but to be expected. They just don't win there. I'm happy they won a game. Now we head to San Diego, and then it's the All-Star break. And for a team that has so much consternation about it, it feels that we sometimes forget just how good they are and how good of a spot that they're in standings-wise, as I am bringing up the MLB standings here over on ESPN.com. And you look at the NL East, and, yep, half a game up on the Mets. Now, Philly's off tonight. Mets playing the Orioles, so maybe that'll come up in our parlay a little bit later. But it's sometimes you just forget, like, oh, yeah, they're still in first place. They're still a top, 5 team in all of baseball. They're right there. They're a couple of games behind the Dodgers. Like, it really isn't. They're not in a spot you need to worry about them. However, it does just feel, well, that's not what we're judging them on. We're not judging them on, oh, well, yeah, they're going to win 95 games. They're going to make the playoffs, which in a typical just historically judging the Phillies, oh, what a victory. What an incredible season. One of the best in team history. And that's just not really the standard right now. It is World Series or bust ever since, the 2-1 lead on the Astros, really.
Yeah, I think that and it's fair to a point, right? They've spent the money. They've brought the players in. They have been a consistent winner over the last 4 seasons now. And I do think people have a fair point to say there has been a regression in each of those 3 seasons. Now, I will say this. I think 2022 was an overreach. 2022, that team snuck into the postseason.
Yeah.
They were using Zach Eflin as a closer, and things were weird for a time. And they snuck into the postseason, had one of the wildest wild card game wins ever. I genuinely, truly believe that single win vaulted them as far as they could possibly go. Because if they lose that game, Bill, I wouldn't be stunned if we did a what if. They lose game 2 and the season's over. But
that's I wonder, not to give away anything we're doing next week, Tyler. Like, does that make your list? Like, what if they just don't make that stupid comeback? Like, then like
possible.
the entire trajectory of this team is completely different. Like, they're not World Series contenders. They got bounced, and then how do we look at them for the next however many years?
Yeah,
what's the next 2.5 years it's been since then?
It's an interesting question. Do they go out and acquire Trey Turner the following offseason? Does that happen? I think there is a ripple effect. Now, I think that people's frustrations don't lie. I don't think they should lie in 2022. That was a fun year. We use the word like magical. I think that they overperformed and they ran into an Astros team that was a freaking buzzsaw that season.
Yeah.
And you're right. They were up 2-1 and they had an opportunity to really take a kind of a chokehold on the series. And they didn't do it and they lose the series. The one that I think for me that frustrates people is 2023. You're up 2-0, 3-2, 2 games at home. You lose both of them. That's the one that I think. And then from there, it's the regression point. I think that's why I think a lot of fans are viewing this season as kind of like we did 2011, where it was like, we know the team is good. Now, that 2011 team was elite. This team is very good. But it's like, we know the team is good. Wake me up when September ends. Talk to me about the postseason. And fair or unfair, I think that's how a lot of Phillies fans are viewing it. So when mistakes happen, when you lose in a walk-off fashion the way you did on Monday, when your bullpen has deficiencies, I think they seem to be overinflated because the issues are tangible, don't get me wrong. But I think, as you brought up, they have the 4th most wins in baseball so far this year. I think only the Tigers, the Astros, and the Dodgers have more. And I think the Blue Jays are tied. Like, you're talking about a top 5 team in baseball right now. And so it's hard to balance. Yes, there's real issues. And yes, they're also very good.
Yeah. And that's I don't want to, you talk about 2011 and I just remember wanting to enjoy it as it was happening because like 2010, we have the Roy Halladay, Cy Young season, and it's just incredible. And my only memory of that season is like, I didn't watch the perfect game. It was game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. My only memory of that season is the no-hitter in the playoffs and losing the NLCS. And we just kind of wished an awesome season away. And I remember wanting to enjoy 2011, but ultimately it's, what do I remember? I remember how it ended. And I just don't want to, wish away a full season of really good baseball because this is it. This is all we have all summer is this Phillies team. And I do want to enjoy it, but the expectations are such that, like you said, it is kind of wake me up when September ends. Like, let me see what this team does in October. And there's no way to know what the hell they're going to do in October here on July 10th. But just seeing, obviously, they're not going to win many playoff games 13-0. But seeing that this offense can come alive when Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper, it's like, okay, it's in there. I don't know if the bats are going to be hot or cold when the postseason starts. That's baseball. There's a lot of luck involved. It's a very random luck-dependent game, but it's just a little reminder that it's in there. This offense, yes, incredibly disappointing, but it's disappointing because they have higher upside than what we've seen. It's not like they're just mediocre. They've been mediocre, but they can be excellent.
Well, I have used the word catalyst to describe Kyle Schwarber over the last couple of years because I believe that Kyle Schwarber is the catalyst for this team because at any point, one swing of the bat changes the trajectory of the ball game. Whether it is a leadoff solo home run like you saw last year, or it's just a 2-run shot that puts them up 3-1 late in the game like you saw on Tuesday night.
Yeah,
whatever the case may be, I've always believed he's been the catalyst. But the reality of the situation is, this team goes as Bryce Harper goes, and it always has. And for the foreseeable future, it probably always will. And so when he is at his best, and we've seen it, right? Back-to-back players of the month last year in May and June, I believe it was. When he's at his best, this team can flat out roll because now you have Trey Turner at the top of the lineup, who's probably been your most consistent hitter all season long. You have Harper and Schwarber within the top 4, which gives you legitimate pop from the left side. And then that's when you can start to slot guys like Bohm and Castellanos and even Brandon Marsh, who swung the bat a lot better over the last couple of months.
He's been good.
I think that you look at those, the ability to, when Harper is on, the ability to slot everybody else down a spot and to maybe put them in a little bit more of a natural position where Castellanos might hit 6th, where Alec Bohm might hit 5th, right? Or wherever he hits in the top 4. I think that there's versatility now because you have those 2 power hitting lefties in the top 4, plus Trey Turner, who has been, it's been sensational as the leadoff hitter. And then the funny thing is yesterday, he's the only starter who doesn't have a hit.
I always, days like that, I always just laugh. Like, I would hate to be the one guy in the clubhouse who came away with an offer. Like, that's just gotta be, that's an unpleasant, like, yeah, we won 13-0. But when you have a few backed like Trey does, I guess you can deal. I want to talk about Jesus Luzardo a little bit before we get to the Sixers. I want to come back to the Phils later, but the Sixers do have some stuff going on that I honestly just want to get out of the way because it's freaking ridiculous. But Jesus Luzardo first. You look at his numbers, 4.14 ERA. Some of his most recent starts haven't gone great, but I think I looked at it yesterday. He had a 5 2/3 inning stretch where he gives up 20 runs.
Mm-hmm.
The entire rest of the season, which is about 98 1/3 innings, 28, something like that. Like 27 right. Or 28 earned runs against. You look at the overall numbers and go, yeah, 4.14, like it's fine. If he's bottom of the rotation, you can live with that, absolutely, especially when he's giving you the innings. But he has been so much better than the numbers outside of really, like, there's like 1 or 2 other clunkers in there, but it's really just those 2 where he gave up the 20 runs. And outside of that, he is a near all-star candidate along with Chris Sanchez and Ranger Suarez. He has been, for the most part, awesome with just a couple of blips. Like, what the hell happened to this guy? Was it really just as simple as, yeah, you're tipping pitches, dude? People picked up your motion. They could see like where you were releasing the ball from, and you had to fix that. And now you are an awesome pitcher on an awesome staff again.
Yeah, I certainly think it was part of it. I also think that he has thrown more innings already this year than he has since 2023. Last year was an injury-riddled season, so I think that the arm fatigue probably plays a part into it. But you're right. I mean, he's had 3 bad starts. It was the 12 runs against the Brewers, the 8 runs against the Blue Jays, and then he gave up 5 against the Reds in 2 innings the other night. Other than that, he has given up 3 earned runs or less in the other 16 starts, all but one time. Every single start, other than the start that he gave up 4 against the Marlins on June 17th, he's given up 3 earned runs or less. And in fact, he's given up 1 earned run or less 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times this year of his 19 starts, 1 earned run or less. Outside of those 3 clunkers, this guy has been sensational, and he's doing it against good teams too. He blanked the the Giants last night. He blanks the Mets over 6 2/3 on June 22nd. He does it to the Cubs over 6 on June 11th. He did it to the Cubs again all the way back on April 26th. He did it to the Dodgers in his second start of the year on April 5th or 4th or whatever it was. This guy's numbers against good teams this year are insane.
It's funny with, like, you bring up especially the numbers against good teams, and there's going to be we've talked over the last couple of days, Tyler, about the bullpen, they need to add an arm, absolutely. Obviously the suspension ending for Alvarado, that'll help you at least in the regular season.
Sure.
Then when you get to the postseason, you'll have added a guy, and at least one or two starters is going to go to the bullpen. And if that doesn't fix the problem, it at least stabilizes it a little bit out there, and then guys can kind of slot in the way you're talking about the lineup. Same thing kind of happens with the bullpen once you add those a couple of starters to it. I wonder, like, it has to be Wheeler, Sanchez, Suarez. Like, that has to be your three, right?
Yeah.
Luzardo has just been, outside of a few games, just as good as them. It's kind of a decision, but I feel like it ultimately it has to be those top three, right?
So yeah, I've been saying Luzardo for a couple weeks now, and I think there's a couple of reasons behind it. First and foremost, having a power lefty arm
That's a good
out
point.
of the now, so that eliminates Ranger Suarez, and I don't want to put Ranger Suarez in the bullpen anyway. But I think having a power lefty arm is going to be a priority for this decision making. So it leaves you Sanchez and it leaves you Luzardo. I don't foresee a scenario in which, because of the consistency, because when Luzardo is at his peak, as we just talked about, he's near unhittable. But there have been some clunkers, and I think for Sanchez, for the most part, he has been as utterly consistent as you possibly could get. And I actually think he's gotten better as the season's gone on. His month of June was outstanding, and his
Unbelievable
last was just as good. So I think if you're going to pick one of the three guys outside of Wheeler, I think the likeliest scenario ends up being Luzardo moves to the bullpen and he slots in between probably between Tanner Banks and Matt Strahm, although Tanner Banks has been really good so far this year. But if you're looking for like a power arm out of the bullpen, I think Luzardo makes the most sense, especially being left-handed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm like, I realized I was just doom and gloom on them yesterday, and this is full Eagles brain with how we cover the Phillies, and it's like, yeah, man, you play 162 and then the playoffs start. You can't look at it the way you do a 24-week season in total where they play once a week. I realize it's just different, but it was just that little reminder that it's in there. The starter does his job, the lineup comes through, and this is a really freaking good team. Now it's one game. I really want to see them finish strong and kind of take it to the Padres now, leading into this All-Star break. But there's no reason to think they won't. They beat them a couple of times home just a few weeks ago, and I'm hoping, as you said, the catalyst. I'm hoping that win is just something that stabilizes this lineup a little bit, so we get a more consistent look at what this team can be. Because so far it feels like it's been the starting pitching, and if something else happens in the game, okay, we can win. Like, that's really how it feels like it's been for the past month or so. And I just want to, I want to see this lineup be a little more consistent.
Oh yeah, definitely a fair ask, and I think they are a bat short still, and I think it probably comes from the left field spot, would be my guess. But I think we talked about it yesterday. You have one guy who has an OPS above 800. You have one guy who has 20 plus home runs, and really just one guy who's on pace for 20 home runs, and it's all Kyle Schwarber. Now Harper coming back, I think, really could help stabilize that. But I think it's a fair ask to say they are probably still a bat short. I will say this, though. You bring up the Padres series. If they take 2 of 3, which they've we talked about the Phillies really struggling in Oracle. The Phillies have actually been really good at Petco Park. So if they could take 2 of 3, they'll finish the unofficial first half of the season at 56-40. That's 16 games over 500 for the games. That's a pretty good number to me.
Yeah. That's for the team that, again, we have so many concerns, and we spend more time criticizing them than we do praising them, without a doubt. And there is something to expectations, but yeah, 56-40. I think everyone would sign up for that at the All-Star break. Now,
100%.
That's you can have this right now. We'll just jump to the All-Star break. It's I think they could win 60. Let's just. I would absolutely just take that 10 times out of 10, and here we are. So
they had 60 at the All-Star break last year, but that was the point where they were kind of leaking oil. So that was kind of the turning point for them, was they were over 60, but it was like, if you remember, right before the All-Star break, they got absolutely smoked by the A's. And that was like, whoa, wait, hold on. Are they going to reset, or is this a sign of bad things to come? And it ended up being a sign of bad things to come. They're not off. They're not that far.
You get smoked by the A's. Like, I wonder if something's wrong.
Right.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, like they're in a perfectly fine spot. Are they perfect? No, but I don't think any team is perfect right now. But they can certainly make moves that would bolster this team. But I think they're in a pretty good spot as of right now. And like I said, if they can find a way to take 2 of 3, I will be perfectly content with 56 wins through the first 96 games.
Oh, without a doubt, Tyler. All right. With that, I want to get to some Sixers, but first, we got to take our first commercial break. 1-800-588-2300 Empire today. Listen, I have been telling my listeners over on the PHLY Flyers show for months that Empire Today is the only place for new flooring, and there's just one simple reason for that. They have the flooring experts. Empire Today is so far superior to any competitors, especially the big box stores, because of those flooring experts, people who will be with you every step of the way and live and breathe flooring. You know how it is when you walk into a big box store, if you can find someone who can help you, you quickly realize that you know far more about this product than they do. They can't help you with this project at all. You are going to be on your own. You're hauling the materials out, you're taking the measurements yourself. And then once you get halfway through the project, you realize, what am I? I got to call a contractor. This is far too much for me. That's never the case with Empire. Again, these flooring experts, they're with you every step of the way, and they can do something no big box store can do. They can even bring the showroom right to your home. That's right. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space in your space. See how it all looks with your furniture up against the paint colors in your house and all of that. And they take the precise measurements for you and have all your questions answered. So there are never any surprises. And with Empire Today, you get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day because nobody wants to wait around. You want your house looking the best it can right now. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. And because some things are just better at home. And PHLY listeners, listen up, because you can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. You heard that right. $350 off with discount code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHLY for full details. While we're here, I got to tell you about Rothman Orthopedics. Let's talk about getting back to what you love, especially this summer. It's activity season. You want to be out. You want to be having fun. You want to be with people. Whether you're biking by the Schuylkill, chasing your kids through the sprinkler, or finally tackling that hiking trail, it's tough when your body doesn't cooperate, and that's where Rothman Orthopedics comes in. From aches after a pickup game to old injuries flaring up on summer adventures, Rothman's team of experts is here to help. They're here to help with evidence-based care and a commitment to restoring your mobility. They'll get you back out there and back out there stronger than ever. So don't let pain put your summer on pause. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to book your appointment today and get back to doing what you love, pain free. Rothman Orthopedics, getting you back to your summer game is their mission. It's nothing worse than just a little bit of pain stopping you from doing what you're doing. Make sure you check out Rothman. All right, let's get to this VJ Edgecombe story. Guess what? He's got a left thumb sprain, and he is out for Vegas Summer League game tonight against the Spurs. And I don't, you know, a couple of days ago on the Gargano show, we had our own Devon Givens on, and when Edgecombe missed the first Summer League game with the thumb injury, he was like, well, let's just say it's better than putting rest DNP. Maybe you don't want him in the back-to-back. They play again Wednesday, and then we'll see. Then they'll go out to Vegas. So we'll see how this all unfolds. But it's probably, hey, he looked good. Why push him? Why make him play in a back-to-back? It is just Summer League. He'll get back in there. Well, here we are. And a few weeks ago, we had the crossover day at PHLY, and we had a debate on who has had it worse, Flyers fans or Sixers fans. And while I will maintain irrelevance is better than constant disappointment, or is worse than constant disappointment. While the Sixers have disappointed and they haven't lived up to expectations, and it just seems like they have the worst luck in the world. Yeah, the Flyers just like never winning a playoff series. That seems to be a little worse. I will say though, it just feels like nothing good can ever happen for the Sixers. This is a thumb sprain. It isn't the end of the world. He's probably just totally fine, and I've been blowing this entirely out of proportion, and we all have, simply because, we've been scarred by every story that has pertained to the Sixers over the past decade or so. But that said, it isn't just me or a couple of people. Open up your social media platform of choice and just type in Edgecombe. Type in thumb sprain. A lot of people are making the joke like, "Oh, he's getting that amputated," or, "Oh, yeah, by September it's going to be his arm fell off." It just feels like everybody is negatively predisposed, whatever the worst case scenario is. That is just the assumption of what is going to play out for a highly touted Sixer. And I got to tell you, it's hard to blame. It's hard to blame Sixers fans for feeling this way. It just, how much can one team endure? Why can't just one thing ever go right? You go back to last year and it's all right. There's a lot going wrong, but hey, we've got Jared McCain, and this is fun. At least there's something fun going on. Well, not so fast. Don't quite see it that way, and he gets taken away from you. It is just, it feels like a constant beating. Like it's an exercise in how much can a fan base endure, just in terms of things getting taken away from you. You get teased and then it's gone. Like Tyler, I can't remember a team that had this run of bad luck where, yeah, man, they've had some playoff runs, and they took the Celtics to 7. And listen, that game 6 and 7 was like maybe the low point in franchise history. It might be worse than like winning only 10 games in a season, but like, I just, the beating that Sixers fans have taken over the past few years, it just seems like, how how is it possible? How is this run of luck even sustainable?
Well, I there was a tweet I saw the other day, and it was like, name a game as a fan that made you just like sit in silence afterwards. And I put the picture of Ben Simmons against the Hawks. And I said, this game broke me as a Sixers fan because there was a lot that went into getting to that point. And I've said this before. I think the team that lost to the Raptors, the Jimmy Butler team, probably had the best team. But the team that lost to the Hawks had the best path to getting to an NBA Finals. And it was to beat the Wizards, and then it was to beat the Hawks. And you didn't beat the Hawks, which was just unbelievable to me. But you go through the gamut of all that this team has had to face and fans have had to sit through after the process. Forget the process part for a second. The 9-win season, the 10-win season. You get to where this team was supposed to be good. And here's what you've run through. You've run through thoracic outlet syndrome. You've run through bias over me.
Like, just the fact that we have internalized thoracic outlet syndrome. Like, oh, that's something I can hit with just on recall. You can just pull that one out of my brain.
Did you know what that was before?
Trauma. You have suffered trauma as a Sixers fan that is stuck in your head that's in there.
Because I still don't quite know what it is.
I'm pretty sure it's what's afflicting the dinosaurs in the new Jurassic Park movie. It's what leads to, I don't know, whatever chaos ensues in that movie.
So yeah. You've got that. You have the Tobias Harris over me comments. Yes. You have sleeper cell agent Al Horford, who I still will believe sabotaged.
Double agent.
You have Joel Embiid's rash of injuries, which some were injuries and some were, like getting punched in the face by his own teammate on the floor going for a rebound. You had
that's the Embiid stuff is not only are his back, knees, and feet a ticking time bomb, and like you look at a man of that size and his athleticism, you're probably not supposed to be that big and that good. Like there's gonna be some issues, and then the luck on top of it. Like, I've known one guy who's broke his orbital twice. It's Todd Fedoruk, whose job was fighting.
Yeah, it was
And
to get
then,
punched in the face.
yeah, and then there's Embiid, like, who's just, yeah, he's just got horrible luck. He got
Right.
headbutted by a teammate.
So and then we can the list continues, right? You have an allergy to your first round pick that like was super serious.
Yeah, yeah.
You have selecting the local kid, which made 1,000,000% sense.
Finally, they finally did it.
Like you could go back through the gamut of things, and now you are to the point where last year they lose 7 billion games of man time to injury between your top 3 players, and as you mentioned, Jared McCain. So they've gone through the gamut of things that just like break your heart as a Sixers fan. And I think that you're right. I think irrelevance is more frustrating than heartbreak, because at least heartbreak, you have the chance at redemption.
Yeah.
But I think it's 2 separate, different issues, right? Like the Flyers refused to admit they needed to rebuild, and they finally did, and now they're on the right path. The Sixers admitted they needed to rebuild, stripped it down to the studs, got the players that they wanted, and things have just been a comedy of errors since that point. And by the way, never mentioned Colangelo stuff in there as well.
Oh yeah, just like, burners and nepotism and all. There is ridiculous, just general ridiculousness. Like
there is
that doesn't happen in real life.
There's a rap sheet for the Sixers of things that have gone wrong in the last 10 years. That if you were writing a sitcom, the producers would go, "This is too stupid. It's not real."
No, like some of this stuff. It was a Netflix show. It was Running Point, and it's like loosely based on like the Bus family, and like it's all right. It's fine, but some of the stuff in there, I'm like, this is more realistic than what has actually happened to the Sixers. Like the stuff, if you were to flip this and be like, oh yeah, this is happening to the Sixers, what's happening on this sitcom, and then put the Sixers in the show, it would be like, show's a little over the top for me. I don't know. I don't know. Could all this really happen to one team? Like, actually, this is only season 1. Like, just wait for season 2, you know?
It's a spinoff.
Yes. I have, especially now that like I'm in the office for every Flyers game and I'm doing post games and like half of them overlap. I am a fringe Sixers fan. I root for the Sixers because like my family loves the Sixers, my wife loves the Sixers, I have friends who like the Sixers. Team sports success equates to more money for all of us in this business, you know? Like, it's better for the teams to be good than for them to be bad. But, like, I feel so much for actual Sixers fans. I feel bad for them. Like, you love this thing, and it does not love you back. It just, you are getting hit over the head with a club every single day as a Sixers fan, it feels like. And this is a thumb sprain. It is Summer League. It doesn't matter, but it's just one more thing. It's,
Well, that's the thing. I think we should definitely preface it by saying he will be fine for opening night. There is no doubt about it. They're taking precautions. It's Summer League. But when you hear the news from a comedic standpoint, you go, yep, that about plays.
Like, what did he play in his first and only Summer League game? 36 minutes tops? Like, right. Why can't we get an hour of court time out of a guy before something goes wrong? And again, a left thumb sprain. Everything's going to be okay. 100%. I say before the notification pops up that, oh yeah, he needs a hand transplant. He's got a hook now. Like he's walking around with a hook for a hand. Like it just, why can't it just be, and he played in 3 out of 4 Summer League, you know, just if he plays Wednesday and plays tonight, everything's fine. Everyone's happy, but it just, no. You're not getting it. It just won't be the case. You're not getting the thing you want. I feel bad for Sixers fans.
Oh, I do too. I think like I equate it to, I have seen some really, really, really bad Phillies teams. But yeah. I think in baseball, when you have an ownership group that's willing to spend money, baseball and football tend to be very cyclical in nature, where it's like, if you're good, eventually you're going to get you're going to overpay all your players, and then they're going to be bad, and then you're going to be saddled with bad contracts. And then you get off those bad contracts, you bring young, and the cycle continues. I think in the NBA, you do have a chance because of a small roster size and because you can go over the luxury tax to re-sign your own players. If your team is good and you have good young talent, like this Thunder team right now might have a payroll of $7 billion by the time it's done. But if the ownership group's willing to spend, they're just going to keep the core together because it's an elite core and they're still building it. And they've won one, and it wouldn't shock me if they find a way back to another one in the foreseeable future because they've acquired the assets and they're their players. So in the NBA, when you have the chance to go over the tax threshold to retain your own players, you could stay really good for a while. You could also stay really bad for a while if people don't want to come and play with you. Just ask Charlotte, ask the Wizards, ask Detroit, who made the playoffs for the first time in 15 years or something like that this past year. The NBA also has a chance to be a very low point for a decade at a time.
Yeah, it does feel as if you can get real stuck. Like you see, yeah, in football, like teams go worst to first every year.
Yep.
There's always a chance. Draft a couple of good guys. If you have a well-run organization, you'll probably be okay, even after a down year or two. Baseball, hey, how much are you willing to spend? You can pay your way out of misery real fast. But basketball, it seems like yeah, you get stuck in the mud, and that's just the way it goes. And
well, I think too with the NBA, like bad players get good contracts, and good players get great contracts.
That's the thing is like you have an opportunity to roll. There's so much player movement. You have an opportunity to roll your roster over, but typically, like, if you make a bunch of bad decisions, it's indicative of a front office that makes a bunch of bad decisions.
Yep.
All right, that's that. I hope just get this kid back into a summer league game, and I think everyone will just kind of exhale a little, and maybe fans won't have this negative predisposition to every piece of news that you see regarding this team. I know as soon as I see he's out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a problem, and it's a thumb sprain. They did say contusion the other day, so we have already escalated. That's the thing. It went from bruise to sprain real fast. So we've seen some escalation, but it can't possibly be worse than a sprain, right? I'm sure it'll be fine. It's the Sixers. Things typically work out for them, All right, Tyler, let's hit this second commercial break before we move on. I got to tell you about my friends at Ace Hardware Home Services because, at Ace Hardware Home Services, whenever they get ready for their next job, they remember what to bring. What do they bring? Well, they bring experience. They're local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. They also bring understanding. They listen to your goals, and the job isn't completed until you're satisfied. And Ace brings helpful, and they bring helpful to your home. So you can spend more of your time on the projects that really matter. And they have free estimates on equipment installation and replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and budget. Service you can trust, and satisfaction is guaranteed. I know when I had an issue with my air conditioner, I thought, this is going to be a whole thing. Going to need to replace the unit. This is going to be a major project. It's going to be a major expense. Turned out, I needed a $17 part and a little bit of labor, and that was outstanding. It is service you can trust, and my satisfaction, well, it certainly was guaranteed. And Ace Hardware Home Services, they're local. Their teams live and serve in your community and are dedicated to keeping their neighbors comfortable in their homes. So visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. While we're here, it's time to talk about that BetParx Sportsbook. That's right. Pro football, it is just around the corner. You know it is. Bird season It's coming up. It's a lot closer than you think. And the one and only sportsbook app that I bet on my football team and recommend to you is BetParx. And the BetParx Sportsbook app and online casino has a great offer for new customers to kick off the upcoming pro football season. It's an amazing 50-1 odds boost on your pick to win this year's pro football championship. All new users who sign up and make a deposit receive a 50-1 super odds boost at betparx.com. And check it out, they have all the terms and conditions there. But you get your odds boosted to 50-1. Yeah, 50-1. And here are the top 6 favorites to win the upcoming pro football championship this season: Kansas City, San Francisco, Baltimore, Detroit, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia. I wonder who I'll be putting my money on. Download the BetParx Sportsbook and online casino app right now and get your 50-1 super odds boost on your pick for this year's pro football champion. It's a limited time offer for new customers only. BetParx.com has terms and conditions. You must be 21 or older and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, or Maryland. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet. BetParx. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's do this. Actually, I want to talk a little about the Birds now. That jogged my memory for something here, Tyler. The Eagles are getting their rings on July 18th, and I haven't seen the location that they'll be doing the team only party. I'm sure NFL Films will be there filming, but it's not a major media event. It's kind of just this is a team thing. And last time they did this, I have a funny story about Vinnie Curry. They did this down at Rittner and Swanson, the 2300 arena, the old ECW arena, where for years, legendary pro wrestling venue. I used to have a wrestling podcast with a couple of people over at WIP, and we heard Vinnie Curry was willing to come on it. And we're like, okay, you always judge. Is he an athlete who loves wrestling, or is he just yeah, man, when SmackDown's in town, I like to go. You never know. And he starts talking to us about wrestling, Vinnie Curry does. And he is a nerd like I am. Absolutely loves wrestling. Grew up, a little north of us, and he went to ECW events and stuff. And so we're asking him, hey, the ring ceremony, man, oh, he was geeking out and trying to tell all the rest of the guys, oh man, the Sandman and ECW, Tommy Dreamer, all this stuff. And they're like, all right, dude. Okay. And, they're at their Super Bowl ring ceremony, and he just wants to talk to them about dirtbag hardcore wrestling from the 90s.
I could absolutely see him.
Great. Because
absolutely see him pointing up to the rafters and being right there. Yeah. That's where Sandman was.
Yes, 100%. That was really funny, and it just made me think oh, I wonder if they're gonna do it again this year. How many huge wrestling fans will be? Oh, this place. But they're getting their rings. And the reason I really wanted to bring it up was so Bryce Huff. Do you think he shows up?
It's a great question. I don't know. I would say if he had just gotten traded and that was it, I would say probably. But since then, he's kind of gone on to say some stuff where it's and I get it, right? He's a human being, and it's a job. And people are frustrated at their jobs all the time. I get it.
Happens.
Right?
Yeah.
But he kind of went out of his way to be yeah, I wanted to get traded pretty early. It wasn't a good fit. I didn't like it here. And it was my man, you got to kind of just don't say anything. We know how you feel. There's a feel for you in this city. And I feel terrible from a human to human standpoint, but yeah. Sign a big, and he recognized too. He's sign a big contract. Expectations come, and I didn't deliver on those. But I think if it weren't for kind of the podcast's comments over the last couple of weeks, I'd say yes. I don't know. Maybe he just stays away.
It's July 18th, and I think most teams report to their training camp on the 22nd. So it gives everyone a chance to get in and out of town and then figure out where they got to go. Anyone who's reporting elsewhere. They did lose a few guys this summer, so there's going to be some out of towners that have to come in. I was going to say, assume this will be in Philly though.
Let me ask you, who do you think there's a better chance of showing up? Bryce Huff or CJGJ?
Oh man, that's a good question. Like, oh, CJ, just because I could see him being like, yeah, I've been talking. Like I just see him as someone who does not care.
Right.
Like he would rather, he has a better chance of showing up now that he's not on the team than he did had they not traded him. It's like 50-50. Now I think it's 100% he's showing up.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's at if it was at the ECW arena again,
Yeah.
he might come out to entrance music.
Uh, that's
He'll play the heel.
I do love that. As ridiculous as he is hilarious. Like he is very freaking it just I think you need guys like him. I think you need some idiots. But the Bryce Huff stuff, yeah, I just like I have some of the quotes from the story, like just how things went in Philly. I knew pretty early on it wasn't a fit. I wanted to trade fairly early on. There's a plethora of things that went down. He's being in the league 5 years. I kind of knew what it felt like to be in a good situation. I kind of knew where it was headed fairly early on into the season, probably even training camp, if I'm being honest. And I just the part that I find very funny about the Bryce Huff quote, being in the league for 5 years, I kind of knew what it felt like to be in a good situation. Now he is talking about himself individually and what works for him, and that's fine. Everyone's got themselves to worry about. It's just funny to think, oh yeah, man, the Jets. Now that was a situation where I knew I could thrive.
Yeah,
I was in position to succeed with the laughing stock of the NFL when I went to the team that just shut out Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Like, ah, oh, yeah, not quite for me. I don't think that was a good situation. Like, well, I'm glad we traded you then.
Well, and you're right. He probably meant more schematically.
Yes, yeah,
He
yeah.
meant more. I could see him. It was pretty evident that Fangio didn't like him, because Fangio doesn't mince words all that
No.
often. Like if he doesn't like you, you're just not playing. And I think that was probably fair too. But you're right. It's like when I think of well-run organizations, I think of probably 27 NFL teams, 25 NBA teams, 20 Major League Baseball teams, a Premier League team, a local high school soccer team, and then I think of the Jets.
The Jets, yes, 100%. Like, yeah, the local, my high school lacrosse team. Yeah, the AD in charge there, he'd do a better job running the Jets than whoever has been running the Jets. I just found that part pretty freaking hilarious. All right, Tyler, I want to get back to a little bit of Phillies stuff, and just because, man, looking at this pitching staff, and I think I have wondered, like, what management really thinks of this team and whether they're willing to go all in for a squad that has one elite unit, but has other fatal flaws, like we talked about a little earlier in the week. Like, if the bat they need is one of the three best hitters on the team, can they even acquire that? And if that's the case, is it worth it to spend major capital? But when you look at just how great this pitching staff is, it seems like they have to do it, right? Wheeler is 9-3 with a 217. He's leading the league in WAR, strikeouts, whip, hits per 9, and K per 9. That sounds like every statistic. Sanchez,
That's a Cy
7-2.
Young winner to me.
Yeah,
right
like he is on pace to win the Cy Young.
Right.
Like that's basically what it is. Sanchez 7-2 with a 2.59. Suarez, he's only made 9 or 10 starts, but 7-2 with a sub-2 ERA. And then you have Luzardo 8-5, and we talked about that 4.14, where it's like, yeah, but maybe not representative of how he's pitched on the whole.
Sure.
Just a few bad games in there. Is this pitching staff comparable? Obviously, 2011. Is it comparable to 2011, though? Just as a quick refresher, Doc finished second, Lee finished third, and Hamels finished fifth in Cy Young voting. I mean, you look at the top three here, something similar could play out.
I think you are going to see Zach Wheeler is going to finish top 2.
Yeah.
He's either going to win it or he's going to lose to Paul Skeens. I think that is the choice at this point, because there's a bunch of other guys who are pitching well, but those two guys are starting to distance themselves from the rest of the National League, whether it is internally with Ranger and Sanchez, or it's guys like Yoshinobu Yamamoto and other, a couple other starters in the league. Like, those two dudes are distancing themselves. One's going to win. One's going to be the runner-up. And if Zach Wheeler finishes runner-up for a third time in 6 years, Philly is going to lose its collective mind. But I think that is a surefire lock that if both stay healthy, those two guys are 1 and 2. Then I think about Sanchez and Suarez are probably going to be in the top 5 vote getters, or at least one of them. Let me rephrase that. One of them is going to be in the top 5 vote getters. I think you're going to probably see it be Sanchez if he continues to pitch the way that he does, because he'll have a full complement of games throughout the season. But he's on pace for a career high in innings. He's on pace for a career high in strikeouts. He's on pace for a career best ERA, and all of his metrics are heading in the right direction. So I think you're looking at a guy who probably will finish in the top 5 of the Cy Young voting if he continues to pitch the way that he has. To answer your question, are they comparable to 2011? It's so hard to say yes, because you're talking about a Hall of Famer, and Zach Wheeler may be a Hall of Famer one day, but like Roy Halladay is a Hall of Famer, and I think that you have Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels who probably fall into the Hall of really good. It's a hard question to answer. I think I still lean 2011. That staff was just unbelievable. And then you add Roy Oswalt to it on the back end. I know he didn't finish the year out as like strong. Oswalt didn't, but I think I still lean that top 3 of the 2011 team, but it's close. It's really, really close.
It's probably closer than I'm like, because Roy Halladay, probably the pitcher of his generation, and then 2 guys at least representative of their era, like 2 guys who were major talking. You have a World Series and NLCS MVP in Hamels, and a guy who was really good, especially as a Philly for a long time, and Cliff Lee, who for a couple of years there just bounced around and was clutch as hell for several teams until he ended up back in Philly and was really good in his second stint, and did win a Cy Young prior to arriving here.
Yep.
And then Roy Oswalt, just a name of his era as well, and all that. But like, you look at these numbers, and it's closer than, like, when you just ask the question, it's like, come on. But it's closer than that. I do think it's a little closer than that.
Yeah, I think numerically it is. And I think the one thing that, as we get a little bit further away from that group, because of how good Halladay was, because of how good Cliff Lee was when Cliff Lee was at his peak, I think the one thing we're starting to lose sight of is that in a statistical conversation, 2010 to 2012 Cole Hamels was an elite level. His numbers are off the charts good. We think of 08 because he wins the World Series MVP, and he was really good in the World Series. 08 was not his best statistical year. 10 through 12 was unbelievable how good he was. And I think he might be the tipping point because if you want to compare Halladay and Wheeler, it's Halladay's the Hall of Famer, right? So he's better. But numerically speaking, Wheeler's longevity with the Phillies has surpassed what Halladay had, because Halladay, third or fourth season, was starting to fall apart a little bit. His arm was starting to, kind of abandon him a little bit. But I think Hamels would be the tipping point right now, because that run from 10 to 12 was so good that I think I still lean that 11 squad.
That's as great as as much as we love Ranger Suarez, I don't think anyone's like, oh, Ranger Suarez, staff ace. And that could have easily been Cole Hamels. Like, he could easily be the best pitcher, the best starting pitcher on any team. And you go, yeah, that makes sense. He did win a World Series MVP in that role. So, yes, definitely. And I just don't know if we think of Ranger Suarez in that way. So that's probably what it comes down to there. But I do think it's closer. Real quick before we get... Oh, go ahead.
2011, 2.79. 2012, 3.05. And then back to 2.46 in 2014 after a 3.6 in 2013. Now, Ranger's at a 1.99 right now.
I know. He's a sub-2.
Which is insanity. But again, we talk about Ranger. It's about longevity. 155 innings is his career high. I know it's a little bit of a different game, but if you talk about 155 innings, Cole Hamels did that. I just off the top of my head, I would imagine every year for 7 straight years. Yeah. So 2007, 183, and every year after that, no short than 193 from 2008 all the way to 2014.
Decent run. Decent run,
Yeah.
I'd say, Tyler. All right, real quick. Did you know there's a movie night at Citizens Bank Park tonight? I believe they are playing Field of Dreams down at Citizens Bank Park. And my biggest question about this is, how the hell didn't I hear about it? This is very much something I would like to do. And I'm like searching now to figure out a way to get tickets and go watch Field of Dreams at CBP. Did you know this was a thing?
I had no idea.
I
No
saw
idea.
someone I saw someone talking about it on some social media last night. I was like, "Wait, what? No, this isn't." And I was like, Google. It was like, "Oh yeah, they're doing this, but tickets are no longer available." I love stuff like this. I think it would be an awesome time. Uh, it starts at 6, which I'm like, the sun's still up. That's kind of weird.
Right.
But I think this is such a good idea. I wish they did this like every time the Phillies were on the road. I would go and see this.
Yeah, run a baseball movie once
Yes.
a road trip. But you're right, you got to do it at like 9:00 at night. And I
Yeah,
know
it
there's
has to
probably
be.
noise ordinances and stuff, but like,
Yeah, and like you're doing this for kids, and that's part of it too. Like Field of Dreams, great, but if I could see Bull Durham or Major League, that would be incredible. It's like, well, I don't know if they want that blasting through South Philly with kids in the
right, like
stands and everything.
you're gonna run the Sandlot. That makes sense.
You know what? I would go see the Sandlot there too. That would be awesome. If you could pick, like, what is the baseball movie you would want to go see at Citizens Bank?
So I have long maintained my favorite baseball movie is Major League, and I think the movie itself, like the plot of the movie's fun. I love the plucky underdog story. But I will tell you this: the separator as to why Major League is my favorite movie of all time comes down to one person and one person alone, and it is Bob Uecker.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and Bob Uecker on the call for those games. The one GD hit. You can't say that.
Don't
on the
worry, no one's listening anyway.
Nobody's listening anyway, right? Like the lines that he delivers are so incredibly effortless. I think he is the great separator for me. I love Major League, and I think a huge part of it is because of Bob Uecker.
Yeah, absolutely. There's back when the Phillies were at the Vet, they had this little kiosk, like it was called Broadcast Dream, and you recorded like half an inning, like you were doing play by play,
Oh, that's
and then
cool.
they gave you like a little cassette tape of your inning. And me and my buddy Frankie did it a couple times, and we were just doing Harry Doyle lines. Like
Right.
that was it. Like that was the only thing. So absolutely, it would. Major League is way up there for me. It's probably my favorite, but Bull Durham is close just because like that movie is baseball. Like that's what baseball is to me, is Crash Davis teaching those lessons. Like I love Bull Durham too, but I probably have to lean Major League just because it's so freaking funny. And yeah, it's all about Uke. All right, let's hit this BetParx before we get out of here. The BetParx parlay of the day, Tyler. And without the Phillies playing tonight, they have an off day before their weekend series in San Diego kicks off. I'm gonna have a couple of money line underdogs that still kind of affect Philadelphia here. So let's start with Spurs over Sixers. I believe they are plus 120 tonight in the Vegas Summer League without VJ Edgecombe. Give me the Spurs in an upset, and give me the Orioles over the Mets as money line underdogs as well. I know it hasn't gone well for the Mets lately, or it hasn't gone well for the Orioles this season. But the Mets are bad on the road. They're very good at home, bad on the road. Maybe someone should look into that. That's. But I'm gonna go with the Orioles as underdogs as well. And when you parlay the Spurs and Orioles, $10 wins you 46.10. That's right. Your odds plus 155 and plus 120 gets you to plus 461. $10 wins you 46.10. That is our parlay of the day, brought to you by BetParx. And I think that just about does it, Tyler. This was a fun show. I'm glad you were able to basically co-host with me. It was happy to talk some Phils with you and some other stuff as well. But that is all the time we have for you on Philly with John Marks. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on the YouTube page. Make sure you set that reminder bell so you get notifications whenever we go live. Follow all of our socials and follow our podcasts as well, because sometimes you just need a little audio in your life. That'll do it for us. My name is Bill Matz. Until tomorrow, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mayor.